I'm Dwight Drummond. Tonight, some downtown road closures are back in place as the so-called Freedom Convoy may be headed to Toronto.
A substantial amount of information out there that's indicated that there is a protest that's headed to Toronto.
Police say the protesters could be here on Saturday. This as anti-mandate demonstrations continue across the province. Plus,
5.5 million rapid tests will be made available each week.
Details behind Ontario's plan to roll out millions of free COVID rapid tests. And
a huge pathway that is post-secondary that is being disrupted because of this.
Youth sports leagues are back, but indoor sports remain off limits in many schools. Some say that's hurting marginalized students. Officials in Toronto are preparing today for the so-called Freedom Convoy from Ottawa to relocate at least some of its protests to Toronto. Chris Glover is live at Queen's Park with the latest on this. And Chris, what steps have already been taken or put in place to deal with any potential protests here?
Hey, Dwight. Well, right now we can see that the roads around Queen's Park have been closed off. There are garbage trucks that are there blocking the entrance for vehicles. And as I was biking up University Avenue to come do this hit, I took a picture for you of a number of garbage trucks parked along the side of University Avenue. There are also City of Toronto transit vehicles here and a lot of police, both marked vehicles and unmarked vehicles. They all seem ready to jump in after police said that they saw several social media posts saying protesters are coming here to Toronto.
I don't think Toronto's quite had enough entertainment for this, and Ottawa's getting a little sticky on their law enforcement. So
content posted to social media is announcing the ongoing protest at Parliament Hill, calling for an end to all COVID protocols, is coming to Toronto.
Toronto, get ready. It's going to be epic. We got all these trucks heading your direction.
Couple that with days of online chatter calling for more protest in Toronto and a flyer advertising a protest at Queen's Park this upcoming Saturday to, quote, take the province back from Doug Ford. And by noon today, the Toronto Police Service had shut down roads around Ontario's provincial legislature.
Right now we've started quite small, and if we're presented with additional information or protests or more trucks, we'll scale our operations up.
Like last Saturday, during a one-day protest against COVID restrictions in Toronto, authorities will be blocking large vehicles, but not people from peacefully protesting.
To make sure that the people of Toronto can remain safe at all times, that people can access things like medical care, that they can get to work so the economy can keep going.
Toronto is trying to prevent this. Protests in Ottawa's downtown involving trucks that have remained stubbornly in place for nearly 2 weeks. Protesters are getting cozy in Windsor, too, where the demonstration blocking the Ambassador Bridge to the U.S. is now stretching into its third day. Today, the federal government put pressure on the Ontario government to do something.
I call on the government of Ontario to join us in the hard work of securing an end to these illegal blockades in several Ontario cities and to apply the law.
Ontario's Solicitor General says more than 1,500 OPP personnel have been deployed to Ottawa, and the RCMP has been given the authority to enforce municipal and provincial laws. But, Dwight, there's no word yet on what federal or provincial resources may be coming here to Toronto to help in any protests that may be coming in the days ahead. But Toronto Police committed to having more police officers in this area, and already tonight I can confirm that that is certainly happening.
Yeah, we can see them setting up behind you. Thank you, Chris. As Chris mentioned, one of the busiest and most economically important border crossings in North America remains obstructed. A blockade has all but closed the Ambassador Bridge between Windsor and Detroit.
All levels of government in this country, everyone understands what's at stake when this border crossing is closed. It's worth saying that almost a full third of international trade between the United States and Canada crosses at the Ambassador Bridge.
Just one lane of U.S.-bound traffic is getting across the bridge. Demonstrators protesting anti-COVID health mandates set up the blockade on Monday. Windsor police say there are now 50 to 75 vehicles and about 100 protesters involved. Commercial truck traffic was being redirected to the Blue Water Bridge between Sarnia and Port Huron. Protesters have since blocked the highway that leads to that bridge, slowing traffic to a crawl. The province has started rolling out tens of millions of free COVID rapid tests. The announcement coming as the health minister says some cancelled surgeries and medical procedures will be coming back soon. Lorena Redekop has more.
At this downtown drugstore, a staff member says they've already had lots of people asking for rapid tests. A sign inside says they're available tomorrow. The health minister announced at some locations the free boxes of rapid tests are already on site. Locations include many grocery stores and pharmacies to be used for people with symptoms or before seeing an elderly family member, for example.
But not just to go out and get a test because you want to go to a party. That's not what this is intended for.
She doesn't expect the same huge lineups as before Christmas, with more tests this time. 5.5 million tests a week at 2,300 different sites.
COVID is still with us. Look at how we look today. So I would say probably the more testing, the better, as long as it's accurate.
I had COVID back in December, and my first 3 rapid tests said that it was negative, and my 4th rapid test said it was positive.
They are less sensitive than PCR tests. Minister Elliott also had good news about hospitals.
Hospitalizations due to COVID-19 continue to decline, and we are currently tracking towards the best case projections.
It means elective surgeries canceled at the beginning of January are coming back.
We intend to lift Directive 2 in the coming days and begin a gradual and cautious resumption of surgeries and procedures.
Brampton's mayor wants reopening sped up.
We've got small businesses that are continue to be extremely constrained in terms of capacity limits, and given the hospital picture, I simply don't see a basis for that.
The next phase of reopening is set for February 21st, when restaurants and bars can move to 100% capacity.
We always said that we were going to take a very cautious, phased, prudent approach to opening up, and that's the path that we're going to follow.
The final phase in the province's reopening plan is March 14th. It still includes having to show your vaccine passport to enter businesses. The health minister says at this point there's no plan to drop that, and she also expects masking to be around for some time to come. Lorena Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
The Premier is responding after the NDP pointed out that some retailers like Walmart require a minimum purchase of $35 before taxes in order to qualify for a, quote, free rapid test. Doug Ford tweeting tonight, free means free. We are providing rapid tests free of charge, and all participating partners are expected to honor that. No minimums or mandatory purchase. If they don't, we'll give them to retailers or pharmacies that will. A suspect is in custody after a TTC worker was stabbed in the back at DuPont subway station this morning. The 46-year-old employee was not operating a train at the time and was taken to a trauma center with non-life-threatening injuries. He is expected to be discharged today. A 30-year-old man has been arrested and is facing assault charges. And the TTC says it's gradually restoring service back to 100% of pre-pandemic levels. That will begin with increased service on 17 bus routes starting this Sunday and will expand to more routes in the coming months. Toronto Mayor John Tory says with ridership levels still well below normal, the city still hasn't secured the funding it needs to support the changes, but that he's confident Ottawa and the province share the city's commitment to reliable transit. A grieving Toronto family is angry because a church is barring them from burying their loved one in a plot they already own. Ryan Patrick Jones brings us their story.
Christina Nastas wants to bury her uncle, Louis Tsotsos, alongside his parents at Headford Cemetery in Richmond Hill. Louis died of COVID-19 complications last month at the age of 67. But the family says the Ukrainian Orthodox Church that oversees the graveyard is preventing them from laying Louis to rest.
It's been very disheartening and distressing on all of us. We are unable to bury my uncle, who's now sitting at Marshall's funeral home in limbo.
My father, I couldn't visit him in the hospital due to COVID as he was passing away. And then there was this, where I can't even conclude his life and be able to mourn and move on.
The Church of the Nativity of the Mother of God denies that it's blocking the burial, saying in a statement that it's done nothing wrong. But church officials called police last month when funeral workers arrived to set up the grave, accusing them of trespassing. Ontario's Bereavement Authority says the family has every right to use the plot.
We found that the cemetery owner has been obstructive
not just to the family, but even to us as the regulator.
Brazeau says the cemetery has been unlicensed since new owners took over in 2020. On January 26, the authority's registrar sent an order to the cemetery owners, directing them to allow the burial to go forward. Now, the authority says it may be up to the courts to decide what happens.
It's unusual and, quite frankly, shameful for the cemetery to say they're not burying anyone there or this person there. Makes no sense. That's what they're there for. The family has the burial rights, and they are not obeying the law.
Christina Nastis says she won't be able to mourn until her uncle is laid to rest.
This is not God's way. This is not God's path to do this to someone or their family when they're trying to bury a loved one. It's unthinkable that someone would do that.
Ryan Patrick Jones, CBC News, Toronto.
We are enjoying these warmer temps. Nick, will they hang around?
For tonight.
Short-lived.
Yeah, exactly. Not the answer you were looking for. Colder weather on the way for the weekend, but at least actually for tonight and tomorrow we've got some milder temperatures. Here's a look at current temps right now, sitting at 4 degrees. We hit 6 today. The average daytime high for this time of year, just a little better than -2, so almost 8 degrees above the seasonal mark. We've had a mix of sun and cloud, increasing cloud cover as we head through tonight. A little bit of moisture in the atmosphere here. What we're looking at as we head through tonight is a very weak system that's going to push across. It will bring with it some wet flurries or light rain showers through the sort of overnight period into tomorrow morning. Now, it may slick up the morning commute a little bit just because the temperatures will be hovering around the 0 mark, so watch for that. Generally clears out, though, into the afternoon, just some cloud cover as we move through tomorrow afternoon. And then another system, this Clipper system, pushes through on Friday. It's going to bump up our temperatures, and then in behind it, much colder weather on the way as we head into the weekend. It's also going to bring with it a little bit of snowfall as well through Friday. Now, generally speaking, most areas around the Golden Horseshoe trace to about 3 or 4 centimeters of snow. Could be mixed with some rain as well, though higher amounts as you head toward the north. But winds are also going to be a factor. Now, tomorrow, wind gusts up to about 40 kilometers per hour out of the southwest. But as we head through Friday, we're looking at wind gusts that could be in excess of 70 kilometers per hour out of the south. So that will be a windy day. For tonight, temperatures hovering around the 0 mark, wet flurries or light rain showers in the forecast. High of +1 tomorrow, and again, a few wet flurries there, and or potentially just some rain showers through the morning commute, then kind of clearing out into the afternoon. There's a look at our forecast. Traced 4 centimeters on Friday. Saturday and Sunday clear out, but colder temperatures, especially these overnight lows, as we head toward the end of the 5-day forecast. Dwight.
Thank you, Nick.
You bet.
Arenas and indoor sports facilities are springing back to life. COVID restrictions are still keeping many school sports on the sidelines. Indoor sports such as hockey and basketball are still canceled at schools. As Trevor Dunn reports, students and coaches say the rules are not fair and it's hurting marginalized students the most.
After yet another shutdown, minor hockey is back in Ontario. Arenas are once again full of slap shots, face-offs, and happy faces.
The kids are super excited. It's good to have them back on the ice.
But while hockey, gyms, and sports in other settings have the green light, school sports are being held back. For some, it's created a two-tier system.
It's an issue of equity and it's an issue of access. If you attend a prep school or a private space, you can still participate. If you're in the public boards, you cannot participate.
As a teacher, basketball coach, and mentor, Devin Jones works with kids in Toronto's Jane Finch community. He says many families can't afford to join teams elsewhere, so school sports are all they have. And many are also missing out on opportunities right now to earn athletic scholarships.
We have a huge pathway that is post-secondary that is being disrupted because of this.
Kids want to go, they want to play hockey, they want to play sports, they want to get out there, and they're really just stopping that for us.
Taylor Bertrand was hoping to qualify for the OFSA Hockey Championships, but for the third straight year, the high school tournament is canceled, even as other restrictions are lifting.
It doesn't make sense. Like, I'm spaced out on the ice, and eating in a restaurant, I'm eating right in front of someone.
971 subscribers or signatures.
Stephen Reed has started a petition urging OFSA to reverse the decision. The organization says it canceled the championships because of the ban on contact sports and the late start to school.
Yeah, I was absolutely gutted by the news. Completely gutted when I read that. I just think it's a completely and frankly cowardly decision. I just think it's time to get creative, think outside the box, like I said, and get it going.
With other sports back, the Ontario government tells CBC News it's trying to restore school teams as soon as possible. But with the clock already ticking on the season, there isn't much time left for a comeback. Trevor Dunn, CBC News, Toronto.
Originally from Uganda, Darius Itagi is on a journey of settling into his place in Canada and finding his community. Metro Morning host Ismaila Alpha spoke with the Ryerson University student about arriving here as a young teenager without his parents.
So Darius, thanks so much for meeting me here to chat and tell me the significance of this spot for you.
So right now we're in front of the Ryerson Student Union. This is the African Student Association building. I'm a board member on the African Student Association, and being there and being a part of that group has really kind of like helped me integrate a lot more into the university experience.
As an immigrant, when you moved here, what was that like to kind of break into social circles and build a community here for you? Were there any challenges?
So I moved to Canada when I was 14. I moved from Sierra Leone. I had to leave there because of the Ebola. Moving here when you're 14, it's not easy, honestly. I had only my older brother at the time. And when I first came here, I think the first thing that was a culture shock for me was realizing that there's so many people from different places. I had been used to being around a lot of black people, and coming here I had to kind of realize that, okay, there's different people from different places. I have to kind of adjust to each one. That was kind of one of the major challenges for me, adjusting yourself so that you integrate a little bit easier into society.
What was like the most surprising or shocking part of learning for you what it meant to be black in Canada?
When I came here, unfortunately, I was kind of put in kind of away in a box, you know? So you come over here, you're used to seeing black people everywhere, and then you come here and you're kind of like, okay, this is not what I'm used to, right?
I wonder what you like about that now. After learning that and living here for a while, what is it that you love about being black in Canada?
One of the most beautiful things for me, honestly, about being a black person is the community, honestly. Like, there's that side where, again, you're put in a box, but then when you think about it, when you put a bunch of people in a box, they also get to appreciate that in a way, right? And you get to relate to people. So if I have an issue, I can go to someone from the Caribbean, or I can go to someone from Nigeria, I can go to someone from, you know, wherever it might be. As long as they're black, they kind of understand the struggles that I might be going through as well. I think that was one of the most beautiful things is feeling that I'm not alone in the struggles that I'm going through. And at the same time, when it's time to celebrate, I have other people who are going to celebrate with me at the same level.
That's wonderful. It's great to meet you, Darius, and happy Black History Month to you.
I appreciate that.
We did get a bit of a melt today, Nick, but the freeze I hear is coming back.
It is coming back for the weekend, Dwight. But you know what? Let's enjoy these warm temperatures for tonight at least. They are helping to melt any of the snow that's sticking around. We hit 6 degrees through the afternoon. We're slowly coming down off of that, 4 degrees right now, and that's going to sort of hold steady into the evening, dropping down to 0 as we move through the overnight period. Now, to put this in perspective, the average daytime high for this time of year, minus 1.8. The average overnight low, about minus 10.5. So that being said, staying mild both now and through the overnight period as well. Cloud cover starting to roll in. We had some sunshine earlier today. As we move through the overnight, weak system pushing through, that's going to bring with it particularly through sort of the late overnight period and into the morning, a few wet flurries or showers, sort of depending on where you are. We'll be right on that 0 mark. There's a look at the forecast for tonight and tomorrow. Now, this could slick up the roads a little bit again, mind you, just because the temperatures are around that 0 mark. This generally clears out into tomorrow, then some cloud cover, and then as we head through Thursday night into Friday, we've got a system that's pushing through. Looks like a lot of snow. It's really not. We're talking about trace to 4 centimeters of snow, but mixed with rain as well. The problem with this is that it's going to drop temperatures quite a bit into the weekend. So it's not so much the snow, but it's going to be the colder temperatures for Saturday and Sunday, and particularly the overnights where we're down to about minus 16, minus 17 degrees. There's, again, a look at your forecast as we move through the next 5 days. So colder temperatures into the weekend. We get the sunshine back. A little bit in the way of slick roads, though, for Friday.
Thank you, Nick. That is our show for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 6. You can tune in for more Olympic coverage starting at 7. Stay safe. Have a great night, everyone.